Seavey and Perry on culture, and what says culture more than Godzilla? It's pretty exciting to me as a guy who used to be a 5-year-old desperate to see movies with Rodan and Mothra and the like. Exciting to me to know that there's another big-budget American attempt at Godzilla. Hopefully better than the last one.
In 1954, we awakened something.
Well, there's nuclear tests in the Pacific. Not tests.
They were trying to kill it.
And I think for kids, it's always exciting if there's sort of a pantheon you can learn, like keep track of all the Pokemon or something, or learn all of the real dinosaur names. And when I was a kid, I loved the fact that there were multiple monsters in these Godzilla movies and that they met up with each other. And that's why probably for a little while when I was 4 or 5, my favorite movie was Destroy All Monsters with an exclamation point, which I've seen again as an adult, and it's terrible. But Godzilla is still cool, especially that first film. And I hope the new one will be good. And in a way, it'll be almost like a crossover film in another way, because when I was a child, believe it or not, the thing that got me interested in superheroes in a way was Godzilla, because there was a Godzilla comic book decades ago from Marvel. So Godzilla actually fought the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D., the spy organization they work with. And at one point, S.H.I.E.L.D. in the comics had to build a new helicarrier, their big flying headquarters, specifically so that it could fight Godzilla. It was called the Behemoth. And in the new Captain America movie, the helicarriers look kind of like the Behemoth that was used to fight Godzilla. So I'm just going to pretend all these movies take place in the same fictional universe, and my 5-year-old self will feel like all of his dreams are coming true, from Iron Man to Godzilla.
Maybe the Transformers will make an appearance.
Oh,
I don't know. That would be it.
No. Oh, well. Although there are Dinobots in the new Transformers movie. Actually, I told a friend of mine, who perhaps should remain nameless so I don't get him in professional trouble, who works for DC Comics, that there's a 4th Transformers movie coming out this summer, to which his immediate response was, "Thank God." Anyway. It'll be interesting to see, just as the comic book version of Godzilla from Marvel decades ago had Godzilla reaching America's shores at last, and then stomping his way across America from Alaska to New York City, feel the pride, not too far from the Lockyard, the bar we're in now in Brooklyn. Just as the comic book featured Godzilla reaching America, the new movie does. And we can even pretend it's a crossover with Breaking Bad, because Bryan Cranston is in it, so we can pretend Walter White has gone on to fight bigger enemies.
Or maybe Lyndon Baines Johnson, since
that's right.
That's another his masterful roles now
on Broadway.
Yeah.
He's playing LBJ. Who's the real villain, of course. More destructive than even Godzilla or the worst gangsters from Breaking Bad. But actually, if you really want to see liberalism destroying a city like Godzilla, I suppose Detroit would be the poster child. And actually, I don't even know if Godzilla stomps his way across Detroit in this movie. But if you want to see Detroit in ruins, there are 2 movies out as we speak with the ruins of Detroit on display. Brick Mansions, which it's a remake of a French movie and Luc Besson produced, but it sort of treats Detroit the way that Escape from New York treated New York. Like, they just put a wall around it, and then everybody fights with each other, and people stay out.
Well, the original film, I think it's called District
13.
13, is that the name of it?
Yep.
But essentially, the plot revolves around this impoverished banlieue in France, which is another word for a suburb. It's basically all of the ragamuffins and refuse that are looked down upon by French society, immigrants from North Africa, Eastern Europe, predominantly Muslim. They basically band together, and the leaders of their gangs take control of a nuclear weapon in order to hold the rest of the country hostage, to extract demands from them. So I guess this is an American version of that French dystopia.
So really, every movie out this summer is in some way a parable for nuclear power run amok. Godzilla will clearly be paralleled to both the atom bomb and Fukushima. Got the mutants in X-Men Days of Future Past leading to a global holocaust, and even brick mansions might, well, if it follows the original plot, might involve a nuclear weapon. I had no idea.
I'm sure it'll borrow liberally from at least the concept of class divisions. You know how Hollywood is always eager to play up the 99%, and I guess there's no better example of poverty than inner city Detroit. Although I'm sure we'd have very different inferences of what caused that poverty than the director of this film.
I just hope the poor and downtrodden can channel their frustrations into kickboxing and parkour. Meanwhile, another film that also depicts Detroit in ruins right now is Only Lovers Left Alive, the artsy Jim Jarmusch's foray into Anne Rice-style vampire movies. It's not actually an Anne Rice adaptation, but he admits she was a big influence. And frankly, I think it's my favorite Jim Jarmusch movie and probably my favorite vampire movie ever, with a great cast including Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton as the main vampires, and he's a sad, mopey rock star vampire who lives in the ruins of Detroit, and their elderly vampire friend, who may or may not actually be William Shakespeare, is played by John Hurt. But I really liked it, and had Maya Wasikowski, or however you pronounce that, as their slightly annoying young vampire friend who's a little too mischievous. But it was really good.
I like the casting, especially Tilda Swinton. She always, I guess by now it's sort of being typecast that she plays this preternatural, otherworldly, kind of strange force in most, in a lot of her movies.
Androgynous like David Bowie, she gets cast in a lot of alien roles, I suppose. But the real monster right now, of course, is Godzilla. So good luck to Walter White and everyone surviving him. And we'll see you again next time. Seavey and Perry, and you can find us at toddseavey.com and
AmericanRattlesnake.org.